Well, hi there. Welcome to this brief tutorial on academic referencing. The purpose of academic referencing is to save you from being accused of plagiarism. What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is the theft of someone else's academic property or intellectual property, and it could be in the form of things that they've written, text, it could be films, it could be music or sound, and it could be in the form of simply concepts and ideas. So they must be acknowledged if you're using them in your work. To not acknowledge them is to be accused of plagiarism, and that's tantamount to a theft of someone else's academic property, and you don't want to be involved with it. It's a waste of your time and your effort, and it's incredibly frustrating. So this is to guide you through that, your academic career, without ever being accused of plagiarism. Okay then, let's start with the beginning really. The first thing you need to present when you present some written work is a title page. You can access a title page in Microsoft Word 2010 on the ribbon under the file or the insert menu, cover page, and there's a whole bunch of different possibilities that you can choose, templates. In your title page, make sure that you include your name and the date. Now, the next thing, in most academic circles, you'll be required to follow that up with a statement of authenticity and academic integrity. And you'll need to sign that, and in this case, the student's roll call class goes on there, and they sign to say that you do understand and you've read the correct policies and that you're aware of the requirements of correct referencing and the consequences if you don't. So you sign that, and then the body of your essay follows. Now, something that ought to be pointed out is that there are many different styles of academic referencing, and were you to look them up, there may even be dozens of different styles. Most of those styles fall into two main categories, and one category I will use is called American Psychological Association, APA style. And that form of academic reference relies on two things. It relies on an in-text citation. So here's your text here. Don't be put off by all the highlighting and underlining. I'm going to use them at a later stage to describe different sub-aspects of essay writing. But at this point in time, just focus here on the fact that whenever someone is quoted directly through quotation marks, or perhaps their information's been referred to that needs to be referenced, then the in-text citation, which is the little flag that tells the reader that the information that's been used in this section has come from somewhere else, is flagged with brackets, the surname of the author, the date of publication, and the page number reference if it's a book, from where the information came from. And that's the APA style of citation. And of course the citations are only part of the story. Citations must be accompanied with a bibliography. Then the bibliography usually sits at the end of your document. Give it its own special title, and it will have a list, usually in alphabetical order, of all the details necessary for each one of the sources that you have cited in your essay. You can think of citation and bibliography as going hand in hand, perhaps a little bit like a space probe versus a mothership. The citation being the probe, it's out there, it's just giving you the heads up, it's sending back information. The mothership being the bibliography, which contains all the detail and everything that's necessary to know. Another way of thinking about it might be to think of, in culinary terms, think of entree and main course. The citation is the entree, whets your appetite. I want to know a bit more, I want to dig into the main course. The main course is the bibliography, and that contains all the information necessary to locate the information that you're citing. So they're the two things that in any reference system have to be accompanied one with the other: citation and bibliography. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, two main styles. One is called APA, and the citations in APA come in this bracketed format. The other style is called Chicago style, and there are very many variations of it. Probably one of the quickest way of showing you a little bit about Chicago style is to take you to Wikipedia. Now, Wikipedia will have more to say about them later on, but Wikipedia uses a Chicago style of referencing. So when you look at text in Wikipedia, you'll notice that when they decide they want to cite something, it comes in the form of a small numbered superscript, and that superscript refers to, at the bottom of the page, more detail. So the thing that would normally be cited in APA is put into a footnote at the bottom of the page, and the information then is further referenced in a bibliography, which will always be present in any academic document. And Wikipedia is not an academic document, therefore you don't often see the bibliographies. We'll have more to say about Wikipedia in the future, and I've deliberately included it because it's such a popular reference system, especially for students in the junior years. Okay, so let's head back to our essay that we're writing, and the Achievements and Life of Thomas Midgley. Now, it's useful to use Microsoft Word to help us with our referencing. There are other systems that can be used. Zotero, which allies itself very closely with Mozilla Firefox, works quite well. There's another one called EndNote, which is very popular. I'm going to stick with using Microsoft Word because the limitations involved in most school computer systems where the add-ins are just too difficult to manage for system administrators. So we're going to just work within Microsoft Word and build up our own reference library in Microsoft Word and use it with correct referencing style. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm limiting myself to that. Now, important to realize that your in-text referencing has to happen whenever you bring up some material that's sourced from somewhere else. Now, here's where my highlighting comes in. I've put the highlighting here just to give you an illustration of 3 different ways in which you can import your references. One would be to actually quote the author's name yourself. For example, here in this light blue writing, I've written, in her book Prometheans in the Lab, Sharon McGrain relates the impact that Midge's inventions had on the world at the time. Now, here I've mentioned the author indirectly in the text, and I've also quoted the name of her book. I needn't have done that, but sometimes it's nice to mix it around and introduce people, especially if you're going to quote a large chunk of what that person's saying. And in this case, I have done so. And whenever you choose to incorporate more than 30 words of someone by quoting them directly, you need to indent your quote. You don't need to use quotation marks. You indent it, put it into a separate paragraph, and then put your citation at the end, like I've done here. That's more than 30 words. Less than 30 words, you can simply put your citation at the end if you're not quoting them directly, or if you are quoting them directly, like as I've done up here, underneath this underlined section, I've quoted the process of, and here quotes begin, quotes close, and then an in-text citation. So that's the format that you can use when you're either using a direct quote or you're paraphrasing an author. Now, I beg your pardon, I haven't told you about paraphrasing. When you're paraphrasing an author, you may do so. At the end of your paraphrase, you still have to include a citation. And you must do so. So, for example, this area where I have highlighted in yellow, I've paraphrased a bunch of information that comes out of a book by a gentleman called Bill Bryson. And I haven't used quotation marks because I'm paraphrasing, except for this last section where I quote a word of his. And at the end, I've cited him correctly with a page number in the case of using a book. Alright then. Now, they're the 3 different sorts. Oh, one more thing. When you're using images, and you will use images no doubt, you must also cite where those images come from. And in this case, I've used Wikipedia as a means of citing this image, because it did come from Wikipedia. I think I showed you the earlier document. That's where I got the image from. Now, Wikipedia is notoriously difficult, I should say, to quote from and to cite from, and I'll explain that why in the second part of this tutorial, which I'll come onto it very soon. But nonetheless, just to show you that you must quote your references to images as well. And it's not enough, by the way, just to simply say Google Images. Not sufficient. You must say where that image comes from, trace it through Google Images into the website or its original source, and quote that. Fine then. We'll probably close it through now, and I'll take you to the next stage, into part 2, into the mechanics of how to use Microsoft Word to do your quotes. So I'll rejoin you in part 2. Thank you for listening to part 1, the first introduction on the correct academic referencing so as to avoid plagiarism.